Before I start this video, I just want to thank all of the lovely people who liked and commented on my past videos. Honestly, I'm just doing this for fun. I never really expected to get any attention. I was perfectly content with getting like 10 views a video, with 9 of them coming from me and the other one coming from my lovely girlfriend. I know I'm not pulling Mr. Beast level views here, but I still appreciate it immensely. I want to make some more thought-provoking videos, but those can take a lot of time and research. So today I'm going to rant about 5 PS2 games that defined my childhood. Sony's PlayStation 2 holds a special place in my heart as it's the first console I've ever owned, and consequently, it started my maddening spiral into the hobby that's shaved countless hours off of my life. Hours that have helped me escape from the stress of our modern world. What exactly I was stressed about as a 7-year-old child, I'm not so sure. Oh, and I'm going to be running all of these games on the Steam Deck, just to spice things up. The Steam Deck can run PS2 games at HD resolutions with smoother frame rates than the original PS2, which is just insane to me. But without further ado, let's get into it and see if these games truly do hold up, or if my nostalgia glasses are distorting my perception of them. First off, we have Spy Hunter 2. This game is kind of like James Bond if he was a 2004 Ford GT. Or I guess I could say this game is like playing as James Bond's car. See, this game is a sequel of a remake of an even older vehicular action game made by Midway. For the remake, Midway did an excellent job at translating the game from 2D to 3D, ditching the old high-score model of the game to a fully fleshed out campaign with missions. The original remake scored pretty highly with critics at the time, while Spy Hunter 2 was panned because of its lack of innovation from the first game. I guess critics back then actually cared about games being unique and improving upon themselves, unlike nowadays. And don't even get me started about the third game that featured The Rock as the main character. So in this game, you race level upon level, completing various objectives until you get to the end. I'll be honest, each level is very linear and most of the gameplay loop devolves down to driving, shooting, and leaving landmines for enemies behind you. But this game is still an absolute blast to play to this day. Using the front weapons to blast enemies away while leaving landmine traps behind you is just so satisfying. The car isn't even just a car though. Remember that scene in Batman where he ejects the Batcycle out of the Batmobile? Well, guess what? This game did it first. When you take enough damage in the car, instead of just dying, the outer layer of the car blows up to reveal a motorcycle, which is just so cool. Levels often lead to river sections where the car will transform into a boat in this cool slow motion transition, kind of like Transformers. The car slash bike slash boat handling holds up quite well. It's very arcadey and responsive. Crashing or swerving out isn't a huge deal as the car accelerates back up to speed in what feels like an instant. This thing is like a Tesla on steroids. You should avoid hitting the brakes while turning though, as you spin out so hard, it's like you just hit a banana in Mario Kart. All in all, this game is an absolute blast. Now, the next game on this list is an absolute classic. Sly II: Band of Thieves released in 2004 to critical acclaim and much fanfare. A sequel to Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. You play as an anthropomorphic raccoon in a world inhabited by other animals. The titular Sly Cooper leads a neurotic but genius turtle and a pea-brained but strong hippo. You and your gang have to conduct a series of elaborate heists across the globe. The main objective of the game is clear. Parts of the last boss from the first game have been stolen by the Claw Gang, and Sly and friends have to execute a series of elaborate heists to steal them back. Sly II diverts from the first game's collect-a-thon-esque gameplay to a more open zone type game where each episode is a new location and heist. For each level, Sly and his gang must conduct a series of missions to set up the heist. For example, you might have to place a bug in the main baddie's room or even tail him. And this is the only game I've ever played where tailing missions are actually fun to me. This is thanks to Sly Cooper's parkour mechanic. Essentially, pressing the circle button mid-air allows Sly to magically gravitate to tight ropes, poles, hooks, and more. In essence, this game is a stealth action platformer with a surprisingly deep story with nuanced characters. I absolutely adored it as a kid, and to no surprise, I still do. Next, we have probably the most obscure game on this list. It's a game you'd probably find at the bottom of the bargain bin at Target. It's a tank combat game called Seek and Destroy, not to be confused with Search and Destroy. For a while, I had this game in my memory with no knowledge of what it was. It was seriously haunting my dreams. I had to find out what this game was. In the end, I spent like an hour trying to Google this game, and I finally found it. So was it worth it? Does this game hold up to my fond memories of it? Well, not quite. But also, yes. In this game, you follow a mission-by-mission campaign helping the good Proton Kingdom defeat the evil Q-Stein Empire, which is very historically accurate. I'm not sure why the devs went with a completely fabricated story while using historically inspired tank designs, but I'm not going to question it any further. I don't know why, but as a child I always envisioned the tanks were the ones talking to each other, like they were some kind of sentient tank army. Then again, maybe this is our not too distant future. Each mission ended up feeling pretty repetitive, as the main objective to win each battle usually devolved down to destroying the enemy's reserves. This game is a pretty unassuming by-the-books tank combat game. Until you unlock a chainsaw as a weapon attachment. Yeah, the upgrades get more and more comical the more you acquire, ranging from tank floaties, wings, a laser beam, and a fucking chainsaw. That's right, you can put a chainsaw on your tank. Eat your heart out, World of Tanks. This game is basically an 8-year-old's fever dream, which is exactly why I loved it. The graphics for the time are pretty bad. It's like something that belongs to the PS1. This is a good game, I swear. Just don't look at its Metacritic score, please. But yeah, this is the kind of game you boot up to have some stupid fun. Not bad, but not really too great either. This next game is easily one of my personal favorites of all time. It's a game called Jak 3, and this game has not aged a bit. I still have vivid memories of coming home from school to boot this game up and just drive around the wasteland, blowing shit up for hours. Yes, I was that easy to entertain as a child. Before Naughty Dog made Uncharted and that HBO show, they made Jak and Daxter. Jak and Daxter was a platformer that diverted from the Mario standard of completing level to level. Instead, the absolute mad lads at Naughty Dog decided to create an open world, meaning you could walk from the start of the game to the end and never see a single loading screen. And for 2001, that was insane. After the success of Jak and Daxter 1, the devs at Naughty Dog played GTA 3 and thought, hey, let's put guns in our game. And Jak 2 was born. Jak 3 followed a similar formula to Jak 2 while building upon it. They added more weapons and introduced these sick dune buggy vehicles with cool weapons and abilities for you to drive around the wasteland with in style. Which brings me to my only complaint about the game. Yeah, the barren wasteland featured in this game comes exactly as advertised. Pretty barren, with pretty much no real side content other than a few collectibles and an endless onslaught of marauders. It's a complaint many had of Jak 2 with Haven City also feeling a bit lifeless, and I'm sure it's due to the limited hardware Naughty Dog had to work with. All in all, Jak 3 is my favorite in the series, and it no doubt earns its spot in my list. And last but certainly not least, we have Ratchet Deadlocked. The entire Ratchet and Clank trilogy has my heart, but Deadlocked is where Insomnia went all in on the combat, and I love them for it. They took away many of the platforming elements in previous games. Even Clank isn't with us, who in previous games gave Ratchet more mobility options. And in place, we have blazing fast arena combat, the most in-depth weapon customization in the series, and these robot things. Ratchet Deadlock starts out after the events of the original trilogy, as Ratchet is warned about a crime syndicate who kidnap heroes to fight to the death in gladiator arenas. He is then simultaneously boarded and kidnapped by said crime syndicate. Very convenient timing there. He's then retrofitted with a new suit with a collar that will explode if he tries to escape, Suicide Squad style. When he wakes up in this new suit, let's just say he's not too happy.
Okay, now to activate your speech function. Me out of this thing, you headed monkey! I can barely to my feels like it's shoved right up my... There seems to be a problem with the speech circuitry. I'll take a look at it later.
Ratchet and Clank 3 introduced some light elements of arena combat, but Deadlocked pushed that shit into overdrive. And it is non-stop combat. From arena to arena, there is never any downtime during a mission. Another thing I love about Deadlocked is its weapon mod system. Weapons still level up like in previous entries, but you can give them added spice with weapon mods you unlock throughout the game. You're also given a pair of robots who can assist you in combat, turn bolt cranks, hack terminals, throw out EMPs, and a lot more, which is pretty sweet. The feeling of jumping around, dodging bullets, and returning fire while simultaneously giving orders to these bots is a very rewarding feedback loop. To add on to that, this is the funniest Ratchet and Clank game to me. I feel like it parodies these big hand-to-hand combat entertainment companies like WWE, who commercialize violence and pimp out their talent for as much money as possible.
Think of it! We'll make billions! We'll sell Ratchet action figures, Ratchet sports shoes, Ratchet deodorant, Ratchet breakfast cereal, earmuffs and cologne, soft drinks, hard drinks, energy drinks, breath mints. You get record deals, movie rights, reality shows, video games, and commercials.
Not to mention the CEO of this gladiator company, who looks like an asset flip from Shark Tale. So yeah, that's 5 games that defined my childhood. The medium of video games is one that I've been into for a while, and it was quite a trip going back and playing the games from my youth. Not to mention the Steam Deck absolutely crushing it at emulating the PS2 with only some stutters and slowdowns here or there. I think if I showed the Steam Deck to younger me, he would get so excited he'd get like a heart palpitation or some shit. Anyway, if you've watched this far, might as well give me a subscribe, right? Right?